What's up, guys? MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and this is going to be a little lecture video. I'm going to try and explain buffering, which is a super important concept to know about, and it seems a lot of people have no idea what it is, as I'm asked about it pretty regularly on my stream. So what is buffering and why is it important? Buffering allows you to be, when you commit to an attack and you're stuck in an animation, right? What buffering means is that not every move allows this, but certain attacks can be buffered, and this means you can actually input the notation while you're stuck in an animation. So this can mean I'm stuck, I'm doing an attack, I've committed, I'm in an animation, or I'm blocking a block guard stun, I block a heavy impact attack, and during this stun, I can input my next attack. And I can do a jet upper. So why is this important? So for example, I am Brian, as you hopefully can see, and I do jet upper. Hey! Jet upper, as you can see, the animation is 14 frames. So now you're like, oh, it comes out in 14 frames. So you can punish minus 14 with it. And you can do it at 14 frames in the neutral. That's not entirely correct. The fastest I can do it in neutral is 16 frames. Why is this? Because I have to input, you have to manually input forward, back two, and that takes time, right? So you have to add up forward, back, 2 frames, and then the animation itself, 14 frames. Well, the correct way of saying that is actually forward, neutral, back two. Bonk. So, for example, I'm going to demonstrate a buffer now. So in the neutral, 16 frames. So Heihachi's while standing 1, which is famously minus 14. Why can I punish this? Oh. Why can I punish this every single time? Punish. 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 It's because every time here, I'm buffering the jet upper. I am inputting forward, back two during my block. You see? So I have a super reliable 14 frame launcher here. That is buffering. So, and you can contrast this to, I do Brian's taunt. Plus 16. Why is it exactly 16 frames? To allow me to do a jet upper in the neutral. 16 frames. So again, while buffering, we can have a 14 frame jet upper because the execution part of a move was done during an animation. So we can block an attack and get a 14 frame jet upper. But if I do a taunt, we're not going to need 14 frames, we're going to need 16 frames. Because as soon as I press forward, I've cancelled the taunt, and now I have to execute the jet upper frame perfect and get a 16 frame jet upper, just like you would do in the neutral. So now we're going to contrast this to Kazuya's Electric, which famously cannot be buffered, and is the reason, in my opinion, it's the hardest move in the game. So we're going to have Heihachi do while standing 1 again. Kazuya's Electric cannot be buffered. So what does this mean? I had to do, that's 1 frame away from a perfect Electric, what I just did. So what this means is that not being bufferable on attack, you actually have to wait until you exit the guard state completely, and then you start your input. That takes extreme precision to do. So this is why the Electric is, in my opinion, hardest move in the game. People think Electric is like, oh, I can do it 5 times in a row in the neutral. Well, and then you have to be able to do it from a waifu, a sidestep, crouch cancel, electric, and now do that on player 1. And then you have to understand that anytime you want to launch someone, like with Kazuya or Heihachi on a block stun, you have to wait out that block stun completely and then input a very fast electric, and you have to, the timing is so precise. And the guard stun on every attack is unique and different. And you have to learn how long do you wait before you start executing the electric. So there's a gigantic difference between a move that can be buffered and a move that cannot be buffered. Another very famous example of this is if I'm playing King or Armor King, any grappler, to be honest. Giant Swing would be 100 times worse if it wasn't for the fact that it can be buffered. So you know Giant Swing, it's a very long notation. Forward, half circle from back to forward, +1. Due to it being bufferable, I can do an uninterruptible Giant Swing here. I'm +1 from the jab, and then I Giant Swing immediately, and he can't jab interrupt me. So again, any animation I'm stuck in, be it 2-1, jab, down forward 1, anything, I can just input a Giant Swing. Bufferable. Goes for most of his throws, by the way. Bufferable in this manner. So if Giant Swing wasn't bufferable, you would actually have to jab, wait out the jab, and now input a Giant Swing from the neutral. That just takes time, and suddenly it doesn't come out in 10 frames anymore. It's gonna be way more than that. Almost 20 frames. Well, 15 or something. So yeah, I hope you understand how much buffering helps King, Armor King, Marduk. And again, a lot of attacks are not bufferable. It's like, how can we demonstrate this? Again, electric is not bufferable. And why is this? It's because Kazuya actually has to go into a stance. A lot of people forget that the crouch dash and the wave dash, that's a Mishima stance. So, and you can't go into a stance when you're stuck in an animation. So that's why you have to wait out the attack and then go into the crouch dash stance and do an electric or a misstep with Kazuya. Another famous example of this is the Death Fist. Death Fist cannot be buffered. I have to wait out. Wait out, then Death Fist. Why is this? Well, I have to go into a stance. This is a stance. It's forward sway. So do we have a character with an attack that's quite a bit like the Death Fist but can be buffered? Steve. Or Heihachi's Iron Hand does not require a stance. So again, both of those can be buffered. Which is, you know, an incredibly useful thing to have. So this is Steve's rocket launcher. It's one of his absolute best attacks. Quarter circle forward 1. Can be buffered because it does not rely on a stance. You see, there's no stance here. I'm doing quarter circle forward. No stance. So any attack I do, like say 2-1 on block, I can get an immediate rocket launcher afterwards. That comes out at 16 frames, the animation alone, because the execution part of the attack was done in the previous move, during the animation. So I hope you get now what buffering is, and that there's a gigantic difference between an attack that allows buffering and an attack that does not allow buffering. It's very, very different. So I hope that was educational and that you understood this concept, and thank you for listening to me.